Wir sind zurück. We are back here for the last 6 races of the season. First up, it is the last race for Micromax this year. And here is your grid. On pole position will be the number 14 of Kenyon Washington, who will have Gabriel Hoffmann in the number 95 alongside. Then in third place, it will be the 23 of Marlon Di Salvo and the 88 of Tom Reger. Maximilian Pilch in the number 11 will start from the inside of row number 3, and alongside will be the number 18 of Oleg Lan. Matthias Schulte in the number 50 will start 7th, ahead of Noah Janssen in the 31. With Niklas Casarino starting 9th in the number 12, ahead of Christos Melakos in the 27, who completes the top 10. And last of all will be Maxime Becker in the number 55. 9 minutes on the clock. They come round the final corner into the tram lines. We go one last time. They push the accelerators to the floor. Lights out, and we are off and racing. And Di Salvo looking to try and go up the inside of Hoffmann, who looks to have lost a couple of positions, maybe make that. Possibly down to 6th place as Hoffmann runs a little bit wide. Looks like there might have been a slight bit of touching that might have caused the 95 to go down towards the back part of the order, which is now being rounded out by Christos Melakos. But Washington leads the way ahead of Marlon Di Salvo in the number 23. Maximilian Pilch in third place in the number 11. Oleg Lan rounds out the top 4 places, followed by Noah Janssen in the 31, ahead of Tom Reger, as the field makes its way through to complete the first lap in this race. Washington leads ahead of Di Salvo. Pilch rounds out the top 3, ahead of Oleg Lan, Noah Janssen, Tom Reger, Gasarino, Schulte, Becker. Hoffmann rounds out the top 10. And looks to have actually gotten ahead of the, it looks a little bit further behind, Maxime Becker, to the tune of about a second, as the leaders make their way through the top 5. Very closely packed. When you look at the top 9, and it is even closer still. They were covered by just 1.717 seconds last time around, as Di Salvo looking at an opportunity to get past Kenyon Washington, who has not allowed that to happen in the early phase. They go into the last right-hander. Washington still leads. Di Salvo in second. Pilch, Glan, Janssen, Reger. That's the top 6 places, followed by Niklas Casarino in the number 12. And now Marlon Di Salvo goes up the inside of Kenyon Washington to take the lead on through turn 1 onto lap 3. So the top 5 very closely bunched together. So Di Salvo leads the way ahead of Washington. Pilch looking at an opportunity, will be in the slipstream going down towards the far part of the circuit. There's a little bit of a run wide there out of the left-hander going through the chicane, as now Pilch tries to go up the inside of Washington, who drifts a little bit wide. Pilch up the inside as now Noah Janssen tries to go up the inside of Oleg Lan into the final right-hander on the circuit. Oleg Lan keeps to the inside for the next corner and keeps 4th place. And Marlon Di Salvo in the meantime leads the way ahead of Maximilian Pilch. Washington in 3rd. Oleg Lan still rounds out the top 4 as they hurtle their way through turn 2 into the first hairpin at the circuit. As Noah Janssen battling away with Tom Reger, as Janssen keeps ahead of the 88 for the moment in 5th place. For the top 2 starting to break away. Di Salvo and Pilch. Had a little bit of a gap between Pilch and Washington last time around, but that gap looks to be more than 0.2 of a second, as Washington coming under pressure from Oleg Lan in the number 18. A little bit further back, Maxime Becker trying to get past Niklas Casarino, ends up self-compromising and loses a little bit of ground, as we've had a little bit of a coming together, and that was for Kenyon Washington and Oleg Lan. So this now changes the dynamic of the race. The 2 leaders, Di Salvo against Pilch, Reger and Noah Janssen, now round out the top 4 places. Casarino completes the top six positions, or top 5 positions it looks like, ahead of Maxim Becker. Gabriel Hoffmann now getting up into 7th place, as it looks like there is a 5-second penalty now being issued to Oleg Lan, and that will be added post-race. Oleg Lan now down in 11th position. That's the last of the drivers still continuing to circulate. We've got just over 4.5 minutes to go, as Di Salvo has a lead of just over 0.3 of a second. It's getting a little bit feistier down at P5 with Nicolas Casarino. So Casarino ahead of Maxim Becker, with Gabriel Hoffmann just slotting in behind in the number 95. So a 3-way scrap for what is 5th place, as the battle for 3rd and 4th still continues to wage on. And that is between Tom Reger in the 88 and the 31 of Noah Janssen, who looks to have gotten the jump before they've even got to the hairpin. That's a great move if Noah Janssen pulls it off, and does so, takes the tighter line. Reger looks to capitalise through the inside of the hairpin, but can't do so. There's now Maximilian Pilch has got past Marlon Di Salvo for the lead of the final race of the season. Casarino still fending off Maxim Becker and Gabriel Hoffmann, and it looks like Hoffmann has got up into 6th place with just over 3 minutes and 35 seconds still to go on the clock. But the two leaders have an absolute big distance between themselves and the driver in 3rd. So Pilch leading, Di Salvo in 2nd, Janssen in 3rd, trying to fend off Tom Reger, who is in 4th place, as Gabriel Hoffmann right on the back bumper of Nicolas Casarino in the number 12 as they go hurtling their way through the chicane. Kenyon Washington and Oleg Lan battling over what is 10th position on the road. As now Hoffmann goes up the inside of Casarino. Casarino tries to get the switchback. The two drivers nearly side by side, but Hoffmann comes out in front, and that allows Maxim Becker to close up on the pair. So we go into the last 3 minutes plus a lap of the season for Micromax here at Rotax Max Challenge Germany, as the leaders come across the line to complete lap number 7. 0.176 separated Di Salvo and Pilch. Janssen still in 3rd. Reger being closed in on by Gabriel Hoffmann, who now completes the top 5. And the gap between Maximilian Pilch and Noah Janssen was just over 3.3 seconds. As now Hoffmann closes up on the 88 of Tom Reger, down towards the hairpin at the back part of the circuit. Hoffmann looking up the inside, and he goes for it, gets through nice and cleanly, and Reger has absolutely no counter-attack at that one. Nicely done by Gabriel Hoffmann, now up into 4th place, and will start chasing down Noah Janssen in the 31 as the sunshine starts to beam through the clouds. Blue skies overhead. And Marlon Di Salvo and Maximilian Pilch still literally interlocked in battle at the front of the field, and it is Di Salvo now that has the lead as they are on lap number 9 as the two leaders go through the chicane. Now towards the back part of the circuit once again. Pilch could have an opportunity to go up the inside, but it's not close enough to strike yet, with just under 1 minute and 30 remaining on the clock plus one additional lap. It is a battle between Pilch in 2nd, Di Salvo in 1st, and just behind Gabriel Hoffmann, now making sure that 3rd place stays in the clutches of the 95. As Pilch right on the back bumper going through turn 1 on Di Salvo. Hoffmann as now Reger and Becker were battling away for 5th place, but Reger got the upper hand, kept it on the inside of turn 1. So 41 seconds on the clock remaining. And the action heating up on the track very, very quickly indeed. As now Pilch goes for the lead up the inside of Di Salvo. Gets the run on the 23. The 23 of Di Salvo tries to counter-attack. Now goes up the inside through the final right-hander. Now retakes the lead. Pilch looking to strike back once again as the clock closes down on 0. And back again, the line astern going through turn 1. Di Salvo still leads. Pilch looking at that opportunity. The timer will run out very shortly. It hits 0 on the clock. So this is where it's all to play for. Di Salvo and Pilch will very shortly go on to the final lap of the race and also of the season. And Pilch looks up again, up the inside, retakes the lead on the penultimate lap of the race and the season. Looks behind, sees Di Salvo right behind on the back bumper. So the final lap board of the Micromax season gets shown, and Pilch has the advantage. Di Salvo, Hoffmann, Janssen right on the back bumper of the 95, going through the first couple of corners. Reja, Becker, Casarino, Oliglan and Kenyon Washington nearly side by side through turn 1 for 10th place, as just a few more corners remain. Down the back straightaway go the two leaders for the final time in the season here at Wittgenborn. Through the hairpin, and Pilch drifts wide, and that allows Di Salvo to get through. So the first checkered flag of the final part of the season is about to be waved. And round the final corner comes the 23 of Marlon Di Salvo, who takes the last race victory of the season. And Maximilian Pilch celebrating, I think pretty much by that estimation he might have secured the title this season, takes second ahead of Gabriel Hoffmann. Noah Janssen takes fourth ahead of Tom Reja. Maxime Becker in sixth ahead of Niklas Casarino. Matthias Schulte with Christos Malakos finishing in ninth ahead of Oliglan and Kenyon Washington rounding out the 11 strong that finished all 12 laps.